I was asked the question, what do I understand Exodus 13:13 to mean? My answer was that I'm not 100% sure, but I have a theory. My next statement was that I feel that it's a subject that has not been discussed enough. Exodus 13:13, it says, "You must redeem every firstborn donkey with a lamb, and if you do not redeem it, you are to break its neck, and every firstborn of your sons you must redeem." Now, when I read the scripture, I had to get the context to attempt to get a whole meaning. So I went back to verse 1 and 2. And Exodus chapter 13, verses 1 and 2 reads, "Then the Lord said to Moses, 'Consecrate to me every firstborn male, the firstborn from every womb among the Israelites belong to me, both of man and beast.'" This request at Exodus 13:13 is not to be confused with the daily sacrifices that the Israelite priests would make. Let's keep in mind that consecrating animals in the Bible was mostly done by sacrificing the animal. When I first read the scripture, it took my mind to the statistics of miscarriages among people of color. According to the Miscarriage Association website, and I quote, it says it has been identified that Black women have a 43% increased risk of miscarriage compared to white women. At one time, fairly recently, and that's the end quote. Now, at one time, fairly recently, women of color across the nation were chanting a deep seated universal thought. Why are miscarriages among our people not being discussed more? I can personally say that my first pregnancy ended in a miscarriage. When this happened, there were multiple family members that are in close relation to me who said they too experienced a miscarriage with their first pregnancy. Yet the question still remains, why? Now you might ask, this have any how does this have anything to do with Exodus 13:13? For Israel's true descendants, the answer may have been with us all along. You know, there's a saying, if you want to hide something from a certain group of people, hide it in a book. But what book? Well, let's investigate. When the Israelites left Egypt, Yahuwah told Moses to consecrate unto him all the firstborn among Israel, both man and beast. This is found in the book of Exodus, chapter 13, verses 1 and 2. Yahuwah said the first offspring of every womb among the Israelites belonged to him. So, what did this mean exactly? Further down, beginning in verse 13, he explains that they should redeem with a lamb every firstborn donkey. I'm sorry, they should redeem with a lamb every firstborn donkey. The donkey was considered unclean. So instead of taking it as a sacrifice, Yahuwah requested that the lamb be sacrificed instead. But he went on to say if they could not redeem the lamb, then they would need to break the donkey's neck. In addition, the last sentence in this verse says, "Redeem every firstborn among your sons." Many of us may hear the word redeem and think of receiving something. When reading Exodus 13:13 in the Ethiopian Bible, next to the word redeem, in parentheses are the words buy back. So, redeemed here is like paying off a debt to regain ownership. What debt, you might ask? And why would Yahuwah ask the Israelites to give their firstborn to him? Our creator apparently anticipated this question. So he answered or provided an answer in the next verse. This is Exodus 13, verses 14 through 16. In the future, when your sons ask you, what does this mean? You are to tell him, with a mighty hand, the Lord brought us out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. And when Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, the Lord killed every firstborn in the land of Egypt, both of man and beast. This is why I sacrifice to the Lord the firstborn male of every womb. But I redeem all the firstborn of my sons. So it shall serve as a sign on your hand and a symbol on your forehead. For with a mighty hand, the Lord brought us out of Egypt. Again, that's Exodus chapter 13, verses 14 through 16. Yahuwah is telling the Israelites to remember, I brought you out of Egypt with a strong hand by killing the firstborn of the Egyptians. Man and beast were killed. In saying that, let's not forget Leviticus 24:18 through 20, that says, if anyone injures his neighbor, whatever he does or has done must be done to him, fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Just as he injured the other person, the same must be inflicted on him. So, with Leviticus 24:18 through 20 being said, we know that Yahuwah does not change. His word tells us that at Malachi 3, verse 6. Therefore, when we go back to Exodus 13:14 through 16, after Yahuwah says, this is what I did for you, now you must redeem or sacrifice your firstborn. Now, in this instance, when I think of redeem, I think of something similar as when we may redeem a coupon. We must give the coupon up in order to receive something back. For the Israelites, the debt was the life of the firstborn of Egypt. Yahuwah was asking that they pay that debt back by offering their firstborn, man and beast. So going back to my theory, when you remember when Yahuwah saw that Abraham was going to sacrifice his son as Yahuwah had requested, Abraham was determined to fulfill Yahuwah's request. But Yahuwah knew how hurtful this was for Abraham. And instead of allowing him to complete the sacrifice, Yahuwah provided a lamb for Abraham to sacrifice instead. Could it be for true Israel today, bloodline Israel, that instead of requiring us to sacrifice our firstborns ourselves, that Yahuwah is taking our firstborn for himself, as he said at Exodus 13:2, the firstborn from every womb among the Israelites belongs to me. Yahuwah provided his firstborn as a sacrifice, and he too was an Israelite, yet he was resurrected. This brings comfort to me because, as we know, many events in the Bible are foreshadowing of what is to come. So I hold out hope of seeing my firstborn in the resurrection. What do you understand Exodus 13:13 to mean? Please share your thoughts in the comments.